and whatnot, which is a surprise actually, because that's what I was expecting to see. But when you think about how there's kids and it's a family, it makes more sense that it is based off of a family style sitcom.
Yes, and now that you mention Malcolm in the Middle, the kids talking to the camera is
complete Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, now I get the reference. So that's where it starts.
So it starts out with I don't know which one's which. I always confuse them. It's Tommy and Billy. One of them, I think it's Billy who is the one who has Quicksilver's powers, and Tommy who has
other way around. I think.
Well, either way, one of them twins. It's like a grandfather trying to name his grandchildren.
Well,
and they're basically narrating what's been going on since the mindfuck of last week's episode, giving us a little rundown of how Quicksilver Pietro is now essentially the Fonz style, the deadbeat uncle. Who lets his nephews do whatever he wants, lets them run
exactly what an uncle should do.
Yeah,
and so one of them says that he's scared of him.
Does he? You just watched it right now.
So I think it's Tommy says, "Don't wake him up," because they say, "Oh, he even snores cool." I don't even think you can snore cool. But one of they're obviously unsure of him because when they later on in the probably it's like maybe a minute or so later when they're talking to the camera again, is that they say that their mum doesn't know how to act, probably because she's not seen him in a long time. So we see Quicksilver use his powers for the first time, and he zips around the room chasing the kids, as making loads of noise, and then
we quickly find out that this episode is going to be Halloween themed.
Yes, because Wanda comes down
dressed as comic book Scarlet Witch, and Vision
smoking as
also shows up as his comic book Vision. Very.
But don't they make a joke though that he's a Mexican wrestler?
Yeah. Yeah, but okay, so we can get that open.
Yeah.
No, you monitor it. So we actually continue on very much so with this episode more than we have to this point with a lot of the weird, uncomfortable stuff. You know, kind of like we had Agnes in the previous episode doing do you want me to come do it again?
Yeah.
We had the boss's wife in the first episode screaming, "Stop it!" We had Monica in episode 3. We really get a lot of that in this episode, starting out initially with whether or not, hey, we just finished this episode where Vision was literally questioning and interrogating Wanda, and she was doing everything she could to distract him, and she didn't succeed in distracting him until Pietro showed up, and that distracted us, the audience. And now we start this next episode as though, wait a second, has she successfully distracted him?
Well, she's obviously got a little control over him, because as he comes down and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry for making you." It's dead. I'm sorry for making you wear this costume, and he puts a throwout line, which
a throwaway line,
which is really not a throwaway line. The fact that he says
something, why call it a throwaway line?
Because of the way he says it. He delivers it like it's a throwaway line, but he says it's the only clothes that were in my closet, and to make the point that
he's aware that she's in control of everything.
But then he does what like Agnes did. Then it shows that she does have a little bit of control over him, because his demeanor stops and he starts laughing, and I can't.
He's onto her.
Oh, he's 100%. He's onto her.
So exactly. So she doesn't control.
I think he might have like periods of
lucidity.
Yeah. So that's when he slips back into it and he makes. Well,
this whole episode is him doing that. It's basically Inspector Vision.
Inspector Vision.
Well, yeah, because he lies to her. He tells her that he's part of the neighborhood watch, and she doesn't bat an eyelid to that. Really, she finds it a little bit suspicious. But
no, she does. Did you miss it? She goes that.
No, that's what I say. She doesn't bat an eyelid at it. Ultimately, she's just a little bit suspicious.
Mm-hmm. But no, she actually makes a point of though that's not where the narrative of the show was supposed to go. She goes, "You're not supposed to," as in like,
yeah, you're supposed to be out with me,
and that's what she was thinking.
Supposed to take the kids out together. And that's where Quicksilver jumps in And says,
Yeah, it
I
says-
can go. And she's like, yeah, but you don't even have a costume. And he zips back, and him and Billy or Tommy, whichever one, are both now dressed
Mini
in-
Quicksilver.
Yeah, you've got Quicksilver and Mini Quicksilver.
See, it's working.
Well, I know it's working,
Yeah.
but I wanted you to make sure it was up so that we could tell it was working based on make sure there's no.
The
Can we stop breaking the fourth wall here?
the funky
Can we
sounds.
stop
Yeah,
breaking the fourth wall
exactly.
here?
The funky
Can we
sounds.
stop breaking the fourth
Oh, we won't be able to because it's on full direct.
Oh shit! Well, then you should go take it off of full direct real quick.
Sorry.
And in the meantime, I'll keep everybody preoccupied. So yeah, we're it's still a little fresh in our minds. So yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. Turn it down. Turn it down. It sounds good. Sounds good. Turn it down. Fortunately, no one's watching. And we were told by our illustrious, amazing, awesome brother just how uncomfortable and awkward we were last time, and we don't give a flying fuck.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, this is the opening sequence. We don't visit the real world until after all of this setup. And as I say, the setup is mostly kind of to get us back on track with the WandaVision, the whole
The whole TV show.
yeah, the whole
Well, just running
masquerade.
back to before they go out, there's a very the whole sequence with Vision and Wanda comes across as, because as I say, I think it's Tommy said, looks at the camera and says, Mum and Dad have been fighting recently, and if you notice in the background, Quicksilver notices onto this.
He notices onto it.
No, he latches onto it.
He notices it.
Yeah. And Vision actually says to her when he says he's about to leave, he's all jovial, and then he goes very seriously. He leans in to kiss her and says, Wanda, be good. He tells her to be good, showing the fact that he knows that deep down what's going on, what she's doing is wrong.
Yeah, well, we found that out in the previous episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was getting at was is that the whole purpose of this opening is to pull back the curtain, bring the masquerade back forward, literally, because
They're dressed up.
We're all dressed up in Halloween, and kind of make the viewer, make us believe that it's reset again, just like each episode seems to have at this point, but not this time. Vision is he's doing something. He's onto her, and he's got a plan.
Yeah, and everything is reset except Vision and the kids.
And is it do we get this line? So Vision leaves. Do we get the line from Quicksilver here, where he explains to her that she's like, where did you come from? And he's like, I don't know. 1 minute I was getting shot in the streets.
That's when they're out.
Well, look, because there's two conversations. There's one. I remember distinctly when they're outside the theater.
That's the one. That's
the second conversation. There's also a conversation they have when they're in the street, when they're talking to the neighborhood watch guy.
Yeah,
and he goes around and steals everyone's candy.
Well, did you notice? So the part that you're on about.
Answer the question first.
Yeah. So the part you're on about where she says, because she says to him, why where's your accent? And he says, where's yours? Mm-hmm. And then he goes into the last thing I remember is I got shot in the street for no reason, which is weird because he did get shot in the street for a reason. He was saving Hawkeye and the kid.
Does he say for no reason?
Yeah. He makes out like he got killed for no reason. And he questions
well, I mean, it depends on how you look at what he's saying. Like, I mean, he does technically. What he's saying is his death is senseless. It is a senseless death.
Well, not really. He saves two people's lives.
No, but he doesn't need to. This doesn't need to be happening. Anytime a bad guy kills a good guy, it's a senseless death.
Well, and especially Quicksilver, that could have just dodged the bullets, but that's...
Well, no, but he didn't. He didn't. That's Age of Ultron, but I've got to correct you. He wasn't able to dodge the bullets because he was distracted by trying to save someone.
Well, just that point there is, even though he looks like X-Men from Fox, this scene proves that he is not Evan Peters as Quicksilver from the Fox universe.
Well, and the Quicksilver from the Fox universe, that was a very unique approach to that character from the vantage point of the makers of those films. his power is more in line with what he does in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and they even showed the clip from Age of Ultron with Aaron Taylor Johnson, which is
what he does in Days of Future Past is like
he basically slows down time.
Yeah, he's so fast that the major difference between the two interpretations of his power is the Days of Future Past power is, like you say, slows down time. He's able to watch and see things that's super fast, whereas the Age of Ultron Quicksilver is just able to just move fast.
Yeah. But that definitely then puts all the questions that we had last week after last week's episode. This isn't them getting the X-Men into the MCU by bringing in the Fox's Quicksilver. But it still says to me, why cast him? That thing still baffles me.
2 things. 2 days.
2 days.
That's just an inside joke, so I should avoid those. But 2 things. The first being cash in on it, because everybody loves that Quicksilver. So it's done purely from a studio money perspective. The second thing, we don't know the answer yet. We don't know where they're going with this yet. We can only theorize.
Continuing with that story, then the kids run in and they find out that the...
oh, hello, hi. Hey, I'm Ham. This is one of my Twitch colleagues.
Oh, hey, how's it going, guys? We find out then that the one of the twins has Quicksilver's powers, and he even says he's a chip off the old Maximoff block, and... although we just skipped part. Let's talk about the first conversation that they have.
Well, we're not professionals. Yeah. We're going to skip and dilly-daddle around.
Let's go back to the because there was something I just picked up on the second watching there. Let's go back to the one in the street where they're talking and they discuss kind of like back. Do you remember back in Sokovia and that kind of stuff? And
that's what I asked you that for.
Yeah,
because it's the first hint that this is in fact the real Quicksilver.
You've never watched WandaVision? Well, we're going to make you want to go watch it.
Yeah, and oddly enough, if you've not watched any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films or TV shows, this is probably not a good place to start.
Start with Iron Man. Like 22 movies ago. So they're chatting, and then he runs off with the kids, and Herb's there. And that's where Wanda finds out for the first time that Vision's lied to her. Because Herb tells her that Vision isn't on duty. And then he goes through what do you mean all the candy's been taken then? All the jack-o'-lanterns have been smashed and everybody's covered in...
That's what I love about it, because we're doing the whole cliched 90s sitcom thing, but it's all got double meaning. It's all got this mystery, what the hell's happening, double meaning, double speak almost.
Seen all the movies. So
by all means, you gotta get into WandaVision. Maybe once it's all been released, you can binge watch it.
This is technically the first MCU TV series.
No, it's not.
No, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of set, but it didn't really connect as much with the movies.
No, but okay, so what you mean is it's not the first MCU TV series. You're saying it's the first one that is acknowledging continuity from the movies.
And is integrally woven with the movies.
Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, and Peggy Carter is, and the Netflix TV series there's a little bit of ambiguity to it, whereas with WandaVision there's no ambiguity to it. These are two 100%. Avengers that we're dealing with.
So, and then Herb does another thing like Agnes. When he says to Wanda, because Wanda is everything all good? Do you want anything changing? So
this is the first time we also find out that the further away from Wanda, the less lucid everyone's acting is, and all, and the less control that she has over everyone.
They've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so they're up to speed with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's another one where one of the characters in Wanda's show, I don't know whether it's the personality of the person or the character that person's playing that's aware that they're in a show. Because he asks her, do you want anything changing? And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. And then he walks off. Then the kids come back, and I can't remember what they were saying, but one of the kids mentions that it was Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And then
that's just a little Easter egg.
And then she goes, Kick-Ass, with Evan Peters being in Kick-Ass.
And Aaron Tyler Johnson as
being
well.
Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
So you've got Evan Peters being in Kick-Ass, and her first brother was Kick-Ass, and Evan Peters was Kick-Ass's friend. So it's.
See, I hope
it's like meta upon meta upon meta.
I hope that that's nothing more than an Easter egg, because that's the type of thing I was saying I have a problem with. these movies becoming too self-aware.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it's
going to
a Marvel property.
No. It's going to take away from the fact that Deadpool is unique and is the only one who can break the fourth wall. If if the whole universe basically breaks the fourth wall or the six walls,
then the roof will collapse because all the walls will be broken. So that's the part there. And then it moves into night, and then we've got the conversation where
do we not go outside the hex at this point?
Oh, we do, yeah. Because then we go to the. It's obvious Hayward's a dick, Mr. Cliche. But now after this episode, I believe he's got an ulterior motive.
I do have to say though, it's like first few episodes with him in it. Yeah, we're like he's Mr. Cliche. He's Mr. Cliche guy. But it's like this episode is almost like it forcibly tells us, no, he's no good.
Yeah, he's got an ulterior motive.
For a show that is really subtle, this episode does not act subtle at all with that setup.
Well, no, because you have first off, the way he treats them is a little off-putting because you've got Monica Rambeau, an ex-Sarge agent.
Well, he recruited her as well.
You've got Darcy, who is obviously one of the world's leading scientists in everything MCU, if you want to call it that.
But this is why it makes you wonder and question what's going on and question your own reality almost, because he asks her, Did I send for you? Are you one of my people? And she's like, to be honest, I don't know. And but it's like, well, then why was she brought along with those 4 scientists originally? Who brought her along?
And then
I honestly think that this show is designed to make you feel like you're going insane.
I believe Hayward's got an ulterior motive, but I don't believe he's the big bad.
Well, obviously he's got an ulterior motive.
Because
I said, they wrote it out in giant green neon
But they
letters.
also wrote out that he has been around after the snap, and he spent the 5 years in between the 2 snaps.
Yeah, this episode has a lot of mean-spirited jokes at the expense of the characters. Because, I mean, he pokes fun at her for basically being snapped and proceeds to say it's a good job you weren't around when your mum died, and some horrible things to say to a person.
That was
but it's not the only time that happens, because it happens later in the episode.
So then them 3 get kicked. Basically tells them to get them off my base, and they do the good old agents kick the crap out of 4 fully trained soldiers, which
again kind of comes out of nowhere.
But Darcy,
at least Darcy doesn't.
Darcy
do it.
acknowledges that. She's like, "What the hell? Why didn't you tell me?" So they then. What I got from this is
from what.
From this episode, this is just a broad thing from what we're talking about now, because I just want to address it as this part here. Like you were saying, there's certain things that happen that was very telegraphed. There's 2 TV shows going on. There's WandaVision inside the Hex, but everything that's happening outside the Hex is also a TV show.
Yeah, it's what we're watching.
No, but I don't mean it's not set in the MCU. It's another reality. It's another TV show reality. And the reason why I want to say that is because of the things that happen.
You're breaking format here. You're bringing theory crafting in way too soon. I don't like change.
But so we're moving to that next bit. Those 2, the FBI agent and the sword agent,
Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, kick the ass out of 4 trained soldiers.
Kick the crap.
Yeah, kick the crap out of 4 trained soldiers, and Darcy doesn't know.
Kick my ass out of me.
But then they come in, and Darcy hacks into Sword's mainframe.
Conveniently, right?
Wait. That's just a theory. A game theory. I like it.
Hey, it's a Matty Pat reference.
Yeah. When did Darcy become a hacker? When could she hack into probably what?
Didn't you know all astrophysicists are hackers?
But I'm assuming Sword's network is one of the most secure on the planet.
Yeah, but why was there no guard outside? They didn't show them beat up that guard.
I know. So that's what I'm saying, though. Is that everything that's happening that they're doing is very convenient.
Yeah, and this is why I said to you last night after I'd watched it, these episodes are too short.
Yeah.
They're trying to get too much.
Deadpool nailed it. It's a 4th wall within a 4th wall.
No, that's not what I was saying. These episodes are too short for what they're trying to do. And this episode was the first time you really got a chance. This is the first episode that you got a chance to see that as an issue, as a real issue, because it was. Because you said to me, if your first impression was you didn't like it.
Yeah.
You were underwhelmed. I liked it. I thought lots happened. But the more I thought about it, because honestly, there was no chance of going to sleep after that. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, damn, these episodes need to be longer. They're not getting enough done in half an hour, but they're trying to.
Unfortunately,
and it's coming off as quite obvious.
Unfortunately, they're doing what they did with The Mandalorian. They're not a set time. Like, every episode's a different length, and to me, that just pisses me off.
And it's okay to do that with a show like The Mandalorian because it's just mindless action,
week-to-week stories,
adventure, right? Whereas this is supposed to be like there's some crazy plot going on that we're trying to be really meta, and we're trying to be really clever, and we're trying to trick you with all of these these misleads and whatnot. And just 30 minutes is not enough time.
This is something that when all 10 episodes come out and you watch all 10 in a row will make way more sense.
Yeah.
So
we go back to the Hex after that.
No, we still got important bits to talk about with them hacking in. They found out that Hayward can see into the Hex and has been able to, and he's
tracking Vision,
and he's kept it from him. So the fact that he's tracking Vision says to me his ulterior motive is back to what we saw in last week's episode, where Wanda goes and rescues Vision body. Hayward is trying to create replicas of Vision. He's trying to create synthetic. Weapons.
That's just your theory, though.
Yeah,
we don't know.
But that's why he's tracking Vision, because that's his asset. That's what is because later on when Vision comes out,
and even though it's not explicitly stated, it's pretty obvious that that's where they're going with it. Otherwise, it'd be a crazy bait and switch.
Yeah, because then we get the part where now we jump back in, and we got Vision doing his Vision quest. His little side quest.
Inspector Vision on
and
his Vision quest.
He's walking down, and because they even point out that these citizens don't seem to be doing much, and that's where we learn that the further you are away from Wanda, she still controls you, so you can't do anything of free will, but
she can't keep you doing the inane daily tasks.
And we notice it more and more as he gets further away, because the first one is when the woman's constantly just trying to put up the decoration and the husband's putting the pumpkin down in the background.
Yeah. And we also know now what she meant from last episode, where she says, you think I'm controlling everyone, you think I'm making everyone go to work, pick up their mail, mow their lawns, and it's like, well, now we know. No, she isn't.
And back in last week's episode, she says that, and we're supposed to at that point feel sorry for her. But now we actually know that she knows 100% she's not controlling them all the time.
I'm telling you, she's a baddie.
But she don't care.
Vision and Wanda right now are like, what's that British comedy series where they're German soldiers in World War II, and they're like, are we the baddies? He's Vision.
I don't know that one. That's
why I wish I had the bloody iPad.
So we notice that the further you get away,
we weren't prepared for this one. Just so you're aware,
the less control you have, to the point where he gets to the cul-de-sac. And they're all just completely frozen.
Yeah, and there's that horrible moment when you see the lady who's like putting up Halloween decorations and she's crying.
Well, that's what I said, though. That's how you know that the further you get away, because that's when there's still people walking around there and kids running around, but her and her husband are stuck in a loop because they're far enough away from Wanda that she isn't exerting control over them, but
close enough that they need to, at least at first glance, look like they're doing something.
But then Vision gets further away to that cul-de-sac and everybody's stopped. He talks to the woman, if these are your kids and all that, and then
that's the woman putting up the Halloween decorations.
Yeah. So then Vision's like, I got to get a bird's eye view of this. Changes into his usual costume, takes off, and that's where we really get the further you're away, the less control she has. Because as he's panning round, you see the city center, or the town center, where all the noise and all the parties going on, and then he pans around towards the edge, and that's where he sees a car parked. And then we get the part where...
Well, just to point out, she's parked at, is it Eves Road or Eves Lane?
Ellis Avenue.
Ellis Avenue.
Which the kids were told...
And she told the kids not to go.
So Wanda's aware of where the edge is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she walked out in last week's episode with the drone.
But there's only one edge. Remember, there's 6 sides to
the
Hex.
Yeah. But she knows that Ellis Avenue is that side of...
Where the sword base is.
Yeah. So Vision lands, and this is where now my thoughts on Agnes have changed. She is something more than just a normal resident. Because she's as far away from Wanda as you can
So they've changed since last night.
Since last night, yeah. Second time of watching it.
Yeah.
So... she's as far away from Wanda as you can get without going outside the Hex. But she's still fairly lucid. She talks to Vision, Whereas the other ones, and they make a point of it, Vision talks to that Chinese woman with her kids who are completely just frozen. He then goes further away, finds Agnes, and Agnes is talking.
Well, Agnes is not from the town. That's what I'm gathering. She is someone who was probably in cahoots with Wanda through all this.
Yes, and has then been taken over.
Yeah. But is simultaneously a little aware of what's going on, and maybe she's the only one who's willingly involved in this.
Well, the general thoughts is she's a character called Agatha Harkness.
Agatha Harkness,
who's
a witch.
I will put my hands up. I have no idea who that is.
And she's dressed like a witch.
Yes. I have no idea who Agatha Harkness is, but if she's a character with powers that has tried to help Wanda and train her and got caught up in this, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
You know what you remind me of? You remind me of the animation, like the character model animations from the Mass Effect trilogy.
Oh, yeah. I got to do it after I stop talking.
Yeah.
So Vision finds her.
Just acknowledge what I said there, though, for a second. So based on that, if she's supposed to be Agatha Harkness,
yeah,
and it's Halloween, and her character is dressed
as a witch.
So again, these are either really on the nose Easter egg references, or it's subtle storytelling, and that she is in fact this character.
Well, I think it's.
I honestly think that Kevin Feige loves to fuck with fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think it's this. I think she is. It's so obvious she's Agatha Harkness. They've done it that way so that all those nerds will talk ourselves out of who it is and theorycraft. But it's so obvious who it's there on the paper.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for watching other people's reviews.
Yeah, because I don't know who she is.
People who are more knowledgeable on Marvel, because I don't read comic books. I do, but I don't read all of the comic books, all of the Marvel comics, or anything like that. So I'm very much watching this series completely in the dark about what anything's about or what's going on.
And that's how I want it to be, though.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching... when you watch a movie for the first time and you know nothing about it, you experience it different. So now Vision takes her out of the trance like he did with... is it not Herb?
Norm
last week. And instead of completely breaking down like Norm did, she's very controlled in what she says, which again leads me to think she's a...
Yeah, but she acknowledges you're an Avenger. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. And she's like, are you here to save us? So either she's acting...
No, I think... So this is what I mean. So when Norm got taken out, he's in complete hysterics because he's in pain. Whereas when she's taken out, she's a being of power. She's got powers, so she can handle what Wanda's doing
presumably
to her way better than just a normal...
Hold on,
yeah,
presumably.
No, but this is what I'm saying. This is why she acts like that and doesn't instantly freak the fuck out.
That's what I'm saying. She's acting. She's playing up an act so that Vision doesn't wisen onto her.
Or she just doesn't have those feelings of pain and power that Norm had because she's got powers herself.
So why would she be begging him to save her, though? Like, are you here to save us?
Because, like we said, if she is a character that's helped Wanda, but now got trapped by Wanda, she wants help. She wants out. She wants out as much as everybody else, but she's got more control of herself when she comes out of...
Okay, so we then let's move on. We then go back to Quicksilver and Wanda.
Well, hang on, you missed the main part. This is the first time that Vision finds out he's dead. She tells him.
Oh yeah, she's like, "You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead."
So like, he's like, again, he doesn't 100% know he's dead, but it's the first time anyone's told him.
So he starts walking off.
Yeah, he says he's got to get out.
And she's laughing like a witch the whole time while he's doing
puts her back in a trance and she drives off. But again, though, she's that far away from all the thing, but she can still drive a car. So she's obviously got more control of her body than everybody else.
Yeah, because seemingly Wanda has no idea what's going on here either.
Nope.
Because it takes her kids later on to let her know what's going on before she figures it out.
I think as Wanda has to, the more people Wanda has to control, and I think she's doing it subconsciously, it takes a capacity away. So she's controlling all these people.
That's what I said.
And this is a focus. Because now do we go back outside or do we shoot to her and Pietro sat down?
Well, first off, Vision starts walking over towards Ellis Lane, Ellis Avenue, and then we go back to Pietro and Wanda in the square.
And a very telling conversation.
And, yeah, we have a sort of heart-to-heart between them, where she's like, where he tells her, "Mum and Dad would have loved this," and she's like, "Yeah," and then she asks him, "Why do you look different?"
And he says he doesn't know, because he said in the previous one that the only reason he showed up is because she called for him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's somebody she's created out of thin air.
And again, unless there's some kind of trickery going on, there's a situation that happens here where she sees him as a corpse riddled with bullets.
I've just had another thought. Maybe that is she controls his corpse and gets him out.
Well,
of the
no,
ground.
because he'd be completely
Decomposed.
decomposed by now.
Well, that by D&D logic, she would have to make concentration checks regular to keep control. Exactly.
Do you know what? I'd love a pen and paper game based off of the Marvel universe.
Make one.
Just take D&D and just replace all the characters, with
Marvel
superheroes.
names. Instead of somebody walks into the castle to get the dragon, they walk into what's the name of the thing in Winter Soldier? The name of Shield headquarters begins with a T. Try something.
Shield headquarters. Yeah. Sure, whatever.
So anyway, so back to so we get that conversation, and yes.
But is that like what happened to her with Vision earlier, a breakdown in concentration, or was that some nefarious force trying to trick her, trying to gaslight her? Because he said a few things throughout this episode that make him a little suspect. Like he's referred to the kids as little devils, which that could just be just uncle banter, but it also could be some references to other theories that people have postulated about the show.
Until we know, 'cause my theory of the kids is.
Also, Heroes. There is a tabletop RPG.
My theory of the kids is. Excuse me. They were created from pieces of Vision's body.
Yeah, you said that last week.
But because I didn't, from what we'd gathered in the first few episodes.
Stop coughing into the mic.
Yeah, sorry. It came across that she couldn't create things out of thin air. She had to change things, like with Monica's vest into her clothes. So from that, I got that Wanda cannot mystically create stuff out of thin air.
That's so grim, then, because it means if Quicksilver is really Quicksilver, she's reanimated his corpse.
His corpse, yeah.
And turned mutilated, rotten flesh back into semi-living flesh.
But okay, so let's say she now can. She's learned. So she says the kids are like birds. They are spy cameras for the government.
Yeah.
Let's say she can create things out of thin air and change reality, because we know she can bend reality. So she bends reality to create the two kids that she wants. Then Pietro will be made from thin air. But if it's not, like you say, that's very dark that she's reanimated his corpse.
You can
because we
almost
know she's reanimated Vision's corpse.
Yeah, you can almost immediately dismiss now the whole Fox X-Men universe crossover theory now.
Yeah, that's gone.
Because it is said in the previous episode, recast, and also everything about this Quicksilver is
Aaron Taylor
Johnson's memories. So we're well, not his actual memories, but that character's memories. So we know for a fact now that this isn't. She's grabbed him from a cinematic universe, which I say thank God, because I think that's the dumbest shit ever.
That would have been.
And not only is it really dumb, but it's also stealing. It's not original. It's stealing from the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is DC's thing.
Here's another thought then. If Quicksilver's not nefarious, maybe he's just...
There's something nefarious about him.
What I'm going to say is, maybe the Quicksilver is actually just a manifestation of some part of her psyche. Because when he says that he gets shot for no reason, that could be the point of view from Scarlet Witch, because she doesn't know that he got shot, or she wasn't there when he got shot. She was in the center of town. So to her, he just got shot in the middle of the road.
Yeah, but she senses him getting killed.
Yeah, so to her, he gets killed for no reason. She doesn't know he dies saving somebody. And we only assume Hawkeye told her. Maybe he didn't. Maybe she was never told that. He got shot by Ultron saving Hawkeye and a kid. So to her, he just got shot in the street. Because that would be something Quicksilver would know. And then there's other bits that this Quicksilver doesn't know about his previous life, like he says.
It is heavily hinted that everything he knows, every time he talks to her about their life, and he even says your empathic twin connection, right? That's the word, that's the term he uses.
Yeah, and he says maybe your trauma, you remembered it differently.
Yeah. So maybe he's more than a twin now. He's actually a manifestation of her,
some part of her psyche.
Yeah.
Because then the next scene when she loses her shit.
No. We go back outside. Remember?
Do we go back out before?
Yeah, because we get we get another scene now where we're back in the Magic Darcy the hacker room, and Monica and Jimmy have decided that they're gonna go into the hex.
And she says don't.
And they leave her. They abandon her. They go anyway, and she's pissed off that they leave her behind. And she's continuing to try to see if she can hack into something else. That she winks at the camera and says, "No, there's something else, right?"
So Hay says she's developing a split personality with her dead brother taking up the evil half of herself. I don't think it's the evil half, and her personality split, I think, into multiple things.
Well, and there's something more to this than evil. She's not being evil here. She's a complex villain all of a sudden.
Yeah, and we know currently that she's a grief-ridden...
She's doing horrible things, but there's a reason behind the things she's doing. And that's grief.
And then, like you say, so now we're Darcy the hacker points out to Monica that she can't go back into the hex because her cells are being mutated at the genetic level. That couldn't have been any more on nose. Even if that's not the way...
On the nose.
Even if they're not going to use this as a way of bringing mutants into the universe, it's a way of turning Monica into Photon.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, but who isn't a mutant, though?
No. But she gets her powers.
But again, the MCU isn't 100% the comics.
No,
it's its own thing.
I'm hoping that this isn't how mutants are brought into it, because if mutants all of a sudden now just exist in in 2024, is it? Then you can't have the great backstories of the X-Men.
Well, I mean, we can go down the road of theory crafting now if you want, which I'm keeping hinting without picking on you on air. Let's try to save this for the second half of the conversation. Put a stamp in that, rewind it, let's continue on. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. So we then go back and forth now, very quickly between outside and inside.
And is it Johnny or Jimmy?
Jimmy
leave. And Darcy stays behind to keep hacking, obviously.
Yeah, but she says there's something. Yeah. There's something else.
Hayward's got something.
We'll find out about that next episode. And meanwhile, at the perimeter of the hex, Vision finds the perimeter and he attempts to get out. And when he gets out, one of the most harrowing scenes so far in the series takes place.
With the promo last week, they shot it very well. It looked like he walked out and instantly just dropped to his knees and died. And that's what I thought. But it's not. Vision's trying to break out of the hex, and the hex is drawing him back in.
I don't think it's so much drawing him back in as so much as he is part of the hex.
No, I think it's drawing him back in, and it's dragging him piece by piece as he's pulling himself out. Yeah, and he's screaming
because he's part of it.
Yeah,
if the way the camera pans around him, it shows that the perimeter is connected to him, almost like he's like a graphics glitch. Almost, it's weird.
And Hayward goes out to see him, and refuses to help.
Well, and he's like, you've got to help the people in there.
And Hayward's just like,
because he obviously wants something.
I think at that point Hayward wants to see how much Vision is Vision, because like you say, bits of him have been torn off and dragged back into the hex when he's laid on the floor. And now a very good point there then is before we get to this though, because it's kind of slightly out of order. Vision connects with his other twin, his other son who has his mum's powers, and he could feel that his dad's in pain.
No, the other son doesn't have his mum's powers. The other son has he's like Professor X.
I thought he had some of his mum's powers as well in the comics.
It's telepathy is what he's displaying in that specific scene.
That specific he is, but he does have some of his mum's powers.
But that's not shown here though. What's happening here is he's having telepathic communication with his dad, and he knows his dad's in pain.
Yeah, but before we get that, we jump back to Wanda.
We're missing something though with the situation with Hayward. Like he mentioned something about him, like something that they expected, like as though it's like, oh yeah, look, it's claiming him back.
I didn't get that one.
You just watched it.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. But Darcy comes running out.
But the point is that Hayward obviously is kind of probably part of this. He might have even given Wanda the chance the opportunity to steal his body, because remember, they were performing tests on him. It was in his will, and I quote, "I don't want to be resurrected or used for any reason." So these are all things that are said on purpose. Then those are not throwaway lines. As you said, there's a lot of sort of throwaway lines that aren't actually throwaway lines. They're said and spoken by the characters as though they're throwaway lines, but there's hidden meaning. There's a lot of subtext in what goes on in this show. And so what I gather from that scene is you've got Vision, who's like, there's people in there. You got to go help them. He's obviously seeing something, seeing these people outside the sword. There's like he's imagining these are people who are here to help. But no, Hayward's just like, it's almost like, well, it's doing exactly what we thought it would do, or like he's part of the experiment, is what I'm saying.
Well, at this point now as well, if Vision does get reabsorbed, unless he has his memory wiped, he knows that what's in there is not real.
Well, he does. He gets pulled back in.
Yeah, but we don't see him after that. I'm saying.
Well, we do, but we see him motionless.
Yeah, if next week we come back and Vision's just like 2000 sitcom Vision,
and not to mention he doesn't get quite reabsorbed. What happens is, going now back onto the communication with his son, the kids go tell Wanda about what's going on, and so she immediately starts red-eyeing and scarlet witching and causing the hex to grow.
Well, we'll get to that bit in a minute, because that's the end bit.
That's it. That's all we're at. We're at this now.
Because we haven't talked about the part where she blows Pietro miles across
the square. Part.
No, because that's
it. Yes, it is. It is, because she's doing this now, and she's talking to the kids, and she's only focused on this because she's no longer acting out the fantasy anymore. And that's why it's weird that Quicksilver mentions this, because what does he say? He says a horrible thing to her that he shouldn't know about.
Exactly. That's the key.
He says to her, "Well, don't worry about it. It's not like your dead husband can die twice."
Does he say dead husband?
Yeah.
Yes, he does say dead husband. So that makes me think.
And when he says that, she's like zap
red goo things in whatever.
Sends him flying, and then continues talking to her kids about, come on, you can think hard. Where is he? Where's your father? Right, but what I got from that initially was she just doing that because it was like, how dare you joke about this, and she's punishing him, or was that just her acknowledging that there's something off about this guy, and this isn't really my brother?
Well, so Hay says, what if the X-Men have been happening the whole time but working as a shadow organization?
Well, that's kind of in line with what my theory is.
Yeah.
That there are mutants out there, and as with the TV show, as with the movie First Class, the world of 2024 in the MCU doesn't know about them yet. They're unaware of them.
And you could just do the First Class story, but basically 2024. Yeah. No, back to your point though.
Like Charles Xavier and Magneto are out there, and if Magneto is in fact Pietro and Wanda's dad, he would have had to have always been out there. So maybe that's why they were the ones that Hydra picked to experiment on, because they knew that their cells were predisposed to be able to be manipulated by the Infinity Stones to create mutant powers.
I will say this, back to your point of her attacking Quicksilver. I think that rather than that being done on purpose, I think that was an emotional reaction on her. Because as I say, more and more I think about it, I think Quicksilver is a part of her psyche.
Well, yeah, because that's why he knows that
Vision's dead. Because there's no way he should know, because Vision was alive.
Well, and not only dead, but died twice. Because that's why I say it's a horrible, mean-spirited thing to say. Because to her, he died twice. She killed him then Thanos snapped his finger and turned back time, and then killed him himself. So he died twice. That's what he was getting at. It was a horrible joke.
No, what he should have said is, it's not like your dead husband can die 3 times.
No, it's a jab at what did happen. He died twice.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah.
Her psyche's jabbing her?
Yeah.
But yeah, because we all have that nasty part of ourselves that puts ourselves down.
They're both possible. That's also possible too. That's what's so clever about the way this show's written, because text, subtext, it's all like
triple text.
It's all over the place.
Quadruple text.
It's like the show is designed to make you the viewer question reality.
So then, obviously, she blasts Quicksilver away, and that's when she looks into the camera, evil red eyes.
And the hex starts to
expand
at this point, yeah.
First off, we see Jimmy and Monica see it, and they turn away and they gun it, and that's the last we see of them. We don't know whether the hex catches them.
Presumably it would, but we don't know if it's also just one.
But then I love
one side of the hex, because we only see the 3 sides of it expanding towards Sword Base, and it engulfs Darcy, unfortunately. So poor old Darcy.
That entire sequence out, everything just gets transported back to the 90s.
But it also pulls Vision back in. And that's where I say that's why
she does it,
and that's why you see he's. We don't know that he's okay, but he's back and assembled and back inside.
Well, did you like the subtle hint though about what Wanda thinks of Sword? What does Sword turn into?
Clowns, a circus,
So that was. I don't think that's anything bigger plot wise, but I just think that was a nice subtle nod to what Wanda, because Wanda obviously knows Sword's out there. She's seen him, but that's what she thinks of him. She thinks of him as a clown circus.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you say, Darcy gets absorbed. So that's a good way of getting a good actress like Kat Dennings powers.
Maybe. That was when we get into theory crafting, that's my theory. Now, is that Darcy is going to become a mutant.
Did you notice that when all the Sword agents are getting swept up and all that, you see what they've been turned into? The only two that you don't see what they become when the Hex takes them is Darcy and Director Hayward.
It doesn't get Hayward.
I thought he gets his.
They get away.
I think it gets them. It gets them.
And I'm sure. Does it turn them into like a circus wagon or something?
I don't think. I don't think you get to see.
Next time we make sure that goddamn iPad is charged.
We'll watch it a third time, but you don't get to see. And you don't get to see what Darcy gets turned into either.
No, but you do see her get absorbed.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
We don't actually see Hayward, Jimmy, or Monica get absorbed.
No, but all the other goons you see get turned into stuff.
Yeah. But that's where it ends. But also the reason you see those goons get turned into stuff is because, as you said, it's
show they're a circus.
It's subtext. It's that Sword or a clown show.
So that says to me though, because it's a symmetrical shape, it's done this, not just one side. To me, the Hex has just gone.
Well, and now that's the end of the episode. We've covered pretty much everything.
So now you want to get
start. Now we can start getting into theory crafting. So one of my major theories that I got from that is, and you just pointed it out, how all of a sudden everything's now being brought back into the 90s. So her Hex, her reality that she's creating, what if it expanded? We know it can expand now. What if it expanded all the way to the edge of the universe? There's a reason we had cosmic microwave background radiation as a mentioned. What if she expands it through the very edges of the known universe, and by the time she gets it there, inside, it's gone from 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s. Oh, the stream's current bit rate is lower than recommended bit rate.
And it was excellent up until now. I don't think.
It's YouTube's fault.
Yeah, YouTube.
Anyway, so it starts in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We're going to be into the noughties next.
Noughties, I like that thing.
And then after that, we're up to present day. So what if the Hex engulfs the entire universe, bringing us to the present, and that's how ultimately reality is completely changed to include mutants?
So we're in episode 6 of the 90s, so you're going to have the early 2000s is going to be episode 7. Then you're going to have the 10s will be episode 8.
I'm pretty sure that 8's the last episode.
I thought there was 10 episodes.
No, we don't. It doesn't show on the episode guide on Wikipedia or even on Disney Plus. It doesn't let us know how many there's going to be. If we follow the usual path of Disney Plus programming, it's going to be 8 episodes. Which stands to reason because that's 7 is the noughties, 8 would be present day.
No, it'd be the teens.
But then ending with present day.
Yeah, but present day is 4 years from. 4 years from the future.
Yes, but the last episode will be the teens, ending with the next decade.
Or
because I'm not convinced that this is a series that will go past one season.
No, I don't think it will.
This is just an easier way to make a movie about Wanda and Vision.
So this is what I'm thinking. Just before we go into the deep delve of the
deep dive
of the delve deep.
The deep dive
for 2 days. So before we get to those theories,
spears shall be shaken.
I've got
a
feeling that episode 7 will be the early.
There we go. We're back to normal.
The episode 7 will be the early 2000s. Episode 8 will be the teens, and then 9 and 10 will be a 2-parter like blockbuster ending.
If we get a 9 and 10.
And I think we'll have 10. I don't think it'll be 8.
We do know there is some crazy action hero stuff goes on because we've seen in the trailers there's even a point where Vision and Wanda are fighting each other.
Are they fighting though? Or is that just very well edited together?
It could be.
Because they both fly off in separate times. So that could be them flying off to do hero shit.
Yeah. But going back to my theory though about the universe getting engulfed by the Hex, it would be the only way this Vision could survive. Because if he can't survive outside the Hex in the universe in which he's dead, he can only survive within a full universe within the Hex.
But we don't know that he can't survive outside. So when he goes...
I mean, it's pretty, like...
No. Hang on. When he goes
pretty unambiguous that he's falling apart and dying.
No. When he goes outside, he's 100% conscious, he's cognizant, he's asking for help, he's being like a normal person. But the Hex is not wanting to let him leave, so it's pulling him apart bit by bit to get him to go back.
Yeah, because as I said, he is now part of that universe. He is so think about it this way. I can't do this for the viewers, but I can do it for you. This is a Hex wall, right?
Yeah. Anything
created within the Hex, when it exits the Hex, it is connected to the Hex still. Right? So it's not like there's a conscious force pulling him back.
So
it's that he can't exist outside of his own reality. So when he pushes the boundary, he is now the boundary.
So I'm theory crafting on the fly as we go. I like
that's a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, I like where you go with this, but I believe that he can basically being inside the Hex and being brought back to life has given him the energy to live outside the Hex. The Hex is just another level of Wanda's psyche. The actual hexagon is part of her mind, as well as Quicksilver is another aspect of her mind. So that was
yes, but it's also a new reality.
Yeah, that was her mind.
Because remember,
wanting to let Vision leave.
Remember our good friend John Campion. We love John Campion. We love watching his stuff. We watched his
3 hours worth of his live
3 days worth of theory crafting.
Yeah, man, he's a marathon.
He pointed out that this is all basically taken from one of 3 comics, and then we watched him talk about it when we watched several others, including Film Theory, Matt Pat. And one thing that the whole community of film critics and film commentators seems to be pointing at is that this is based on specifically a comic called, is it The House of M?
Yeah.
In which she literally changes reality.
Yeah.
Right? So when you say it's all in her mind... or it's connected to her mind. Yes, it's connected to her mind, but her mind has the power. Her mind has the power to manifest.
Where's she getting the power from? Because they state right at the beginning of this.
Well, she got it from the Mind Stone.
No. Right at the beginning of this series, where's she getting the power to do? Because they state in the series, she's displaying powers and level of power that she never has done before. Do you think it's the nefarious background entity that we've talked about is the one giving her the
because
power?
If it is Mephisto, Mephisto isn't as powerful as her.
No.
If she knew that if let's say devil's advocate here, it is Agnes,
Mephisto's advocate.
yeah, Mephisto and Agatha Harkness and Nightmare and all those comic book villains who everyone's theorizing about are behind all this. The problem is, and it's a problem they face in the comics as well, if she's aware of this, she could just blink them out of existence.
Which is why I don't think they're the
so
big bad.
So her powers coming through, all they're pointing out is that she's getting more powerful, which is what happens the first time we come across her. And even Quicksilver says this in the episode. It says you've gone from just being, magic red mind tricky thingy to full blown
making people have nightmares.
Yeah, to full blown super powered villain. Yeah,
but
so she's just these are powers that she just never knew she had. So she started off being able to manipulate people's minds, and then being able to create red mist to blow things up. Then she can fly.
Red mist.
Yeah. Then she can fly. Oh God! Wow, this is like some crazy level meta shit here.
So, but this is it though. The first
red mist is Fogland from
it's the
McLovin.
Frank D'Amico's son.
Yeah.
Her first power is making Tony Stark see something in his reality.
It's implanting the Inception.
Yeah.
To create Ultron,
but by showing him a reality,
where he needs to create Ultron to save the day.
Whereas the Hex is just an uber version of that for everybody in there. It's taking it from actually, rather than it all just being in their heads now.
The basis of her powers is manipulating reality, consciousness.
Do you know the best thing about this show?
Therefore I am.
Do you know the best thing about this show? And I think we mentioned this last week. All these theories
could all turn out to be complete bullshit.
All this crafting, Campia, me and you, Emergency Awesome,
Matt Pat.
None of us have a fucking clue. The only people that know are the people on the show, and they've done a phenomenal job of keeping it quiet.
But what
normally
if
shit like this leaks out?
What if Kevin Feige though is pulling? Excuse me. He's pulling a Ronald D. Moore, aka Battlestar Galactica, and actually doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing, and that's how he's creating so much delirium around the show. He's just throwing darts and seeing what sticks.
Or the big bad behind everything is Kevin Feige. Yeah. He's the evil overlord controlling.
If we did go down this route though of like the movies becoming self-aware,
breaking as many walls as we can,
that would make sense, would it not?
Yeah. So I enjoyed the episode second time around. First time, I think because last week's episode was really good because I liked the Vision becoming aware of shit's not normal.
Oh, last week's episode was the best so far.
This one felt, as I say, compared to last week, I've said it before, I felt it was a little underwhelming, but now a second time through watching it, and we're going to watch it. I'm sure we're going to watch it a third time after this stream.
I'm thinking this show is going to be one of those situations where you have to watch it all back to back to really enjoy it.
After they all come out, watch it as like a 10 or an 8 episode movie.
But because it's a serialized what the hell's going on mystery story, that's why it serves its purpose better if it's released one episode at a time.
Yeah.
But once it's all out, anybody who's decided to wait to watch this is going to be in for one hell of a ride.
Well, the good thing as well is once it's all out, you can go back and watch it knowing the end game and look for all the little nods and winks, because it didn't even dawn on me that the first case of one of the characters in the show breaking out of Wanda's control was the boss's wife in the first episode.
Yeah, she's telling her to stop it.
And that only came through when I was watching the replay. So, yeah, I truly believe that everybody's doing all this theory crafting, and if what you say is true, tonight Feige will be watching everybody's reviews and goes, all right,
with a dark hood up. And
next week's episode is going to be this, and they're filming it as they go.
We're basically his science experiment. We're lab rats.
The best thing is though, you now getting and this is what I'm loving about modern TV shows.
McLovin
is you are getting TV shows with movie level quality of production.
Yeah.
Mandalorian was the first one that I saw really.
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, it's and the writing as well. Like you say,
The Expanse.
I think this is definitely a 10-part movie that they've split into 10 parts.
Yeah.
Because I think we'll go 10. I don't think it'll be over and done with. Because what we got 7, 8. So we've only got 2 more episodes. Now,
if it's 8, we have 2 more episodes.
Yeah, that'll take us to the end of February. If it's 10, it'll take us to mid-March, which will then give us a 2-week gap before Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
If it is only 2 more episodes, then you're gonna hope against hope that they're 50-minute episodes.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's going to be 10 episodes.
Because that's ultimately the biggest downfall of this episode for me, is that it feels like rushed. It's so many things. Considering the show to this point has done it's almost a masterclass in show don't tell. This episode was a lot of tell.
Without actually telling us.
A lot of exposition. Well, no, but there was quite a lot of exposition. That whole bit where, like, the way Hayward got rid of Darcy, Wu, and Monica made no sense to me whatsoever. It was just like, crap, we've got to get these 3 now wizened onto me. We've got to get them finding out that there's more than meets the eye, and then we've got to get them moving on to their next phase in the plot. And it's just a series of things happening to them just because that had to happen. It's not motivated in any realistic fashion for me.
What I get from Hayward is he's not a powerful being or anything. He is the director of S.W.O.R.D. who hates powered beings because of what the Snap was done. So he's wanting...
You mean like the fucking mutants and Senator Kelly and whatnot, and how the mutants are all...
He wants to create weapons, or he wants to develop more weapons like Vision, so that if a Thanos ever does... Basically, he's doing what Tony Stark did with Ultron.
Well, yeah, S.W.O.R.D. in the show is special weapons research projects.
And that's because the line when he says to Monica, you weren't here for those years, and how hard it was to keep the lights on. He's obviously bitter. He probably lost people. He never wants that to happen again, so he wants to develop more weapons.
The point I was making, though, was that this isn't... it's not about Hayward. That's not what I was getting at. I'm just saying all of that stuff surrounding Hayward, Monica, Wu, and Darcy was...
It was moved along very quickly.
It was moved along very Phantom Menace style. Like, there was no reason, really, for him to be at odds with them. The previous episode, they were all a team working together. He was starting to show that he's a bit of a douche...
But that's about it.
But this episode, it's just like, we can't trust this guy, we hate this guy, because reasons.
Yeah, they took
I caught him twirling his mustache in the corner.
Well, they took him from being a dick to being the head of Hydra, like in 12-minute scene.
Except in Winter Soldier, that whole thing's done masterfully. In this episode, it felt really rushed. It felt like we've got 30 minutes to make this happen. Shit.
Well, no, they actually had 3 minutes of that scene in there to make it happen.
Yeah.
So it was, and that's what I'm saying. They took the good guy turning into the head of Hydra, that storyline, to make him. Now we need to make him the bad guy in 3 minutes.
Yeah. So that was my only real problem with this episode. It was
and Darcy hacking into the mainframe.
Well, that's part of that. Yeah, the whole
that was an expedition dump. Do you know what would have been made more sense? Is if they'd have found a thumb drive with all the info on, because that's more believable than Darcy being able to hack into S.W.O.R.D.'s mainframe.
But do you understand what I mean? It's like I don't feel that Monica really does have a reason to be empathetic or sympathetic towards Wanda at all. There's nothing that's made me feel like Monica has any reason other than the fact that she was there and helped her deliver her children. I don't get that sense that Monica has a reason to be altruistic.
Well, no, she dismisses that Wanda's at fault here very easily. Now, and I don't think that's any subtext there. I just think that's poor writing. That's the one little bit of poor writing.
They rushed these 3 characters into from the positions they were in being researchers working for S.W.O.R.D. to, hey, look, we're on the run from S.W.O.R.D. now and we're doing things on our own. But they really went from that to that with absolutely no reason.
And that's because the first 3 episodes took too long to get going. So what it seems like me so far is the first 3 episodes were the right pace. That's how the pace of this show should have been. But now the next 3 episodes are being doubled in pace. And we're now getting expedition dumps.
Exposition.
That's what I
said. You said expedition.
Exposition dumps. We're getting them very quickly. So the pacing of the first 3 episodes did well to build this up. But now they're like, Do you know what it's like? It's like they were writing it right and then going, oh shit, we've only got 2 more episodes, but I've got like 10,000 pages of information to get out. Oh fuck, what are we going to do? Quick, throw out, she does this, she goes there, she does this, it all expands, move on to the next episode.
And that's what happens when you only have 30 minutes. The reason last week's episode for me was the best episode so far was because it was a nice 40 to 45 minute episode.
45 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah, it had a chance to really get across what it wanted to get across, whereas this episode was incredibly rushed. Still good, though.
Yeah, do you know what streaming
Especially when we're going to watch it all episode after episode back to back.
So before streaming happened and you had to watch like normal TV, you had an hour show, but you had commercial breaks, but it lasted an hour. So the shows were roughly 45 minutes with the commercials thrown in. Now that you've got streaming, rather than embrace that and have 1 hour length of pure content, they've not. They've kept making 30 to 45 minute shows, just not putting commercials in them. It's shit.
Well,
make our shows.
And I think that also has to do with not wanting to make sure they, blow up their load instantly, right? They want to make sure that stuff is still a slow burn, because if you, that's one of the problems that the Netflix series had. So much got dealt with and released in. Well, it was all out instantly, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could binge watch it. And this is it though. Streaming services, stories told on streaming services, lend themselves to binge watching. Binge watching Daredevil worked. I think if they'd have made that show Daredevil and released it every week for however long the series was, I don't think it would have got the following. WandaVision to me is not. It's been made like it should be binge watched.
Well, and it's also, speaking of following, it's made knowing that it already has a following.
Yeah,
you can produce a
all
show
those
like
crazy motherfuckers that will just.
You could produce a show like
the early hours
WandaVision, knowing full well that everybody who watched Iron Man through Endgame is just pretty much ready and waiting. Well, what's that saying? My body is ready.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Give me your final thoughts on this show and then
episode.
The show that we just watched. And have you seen the promo for next week's?
I have not.
Okay, so we won't go into that then. Just give me your final thoughts on this episode.
I pretty much summed them up in that diatribe. It was a good episode that did pretty much enough to keep me wanting more, but the short runtime of 30 minutes really made it feel rushed and haphazard. And out of all of the episodes so far, it's probably the one that I wouldn't really want to revisit. Okay. It's got very little rewatchability, but as far as continuing on with the crazy mindfuckery, it's sticking to form. It's like that line in Futurama when when Zoidberg builds a house under the sea, and his house burns down, and Hermes is like, "This is a very good." He's like, "How did that?" He's like, "My house burns down. How does this happen?" And Hermes is like, "That's a very good question." And Bender's like, "Oh, there's my cigar." And Hermes is like, "This just raises even more questions." Yeah. Like that to me is what this episode continued to do well, but what it didn't do well was tell a story.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this, like I told you after I watched it last night, I didn't enjoy it as much. Second time watching, I got more information, but I didn't enjoy it anymore, is probably the best way of putting it. My thoughts were solidified on what Pietro is. He's not Quicksilver. He's not the reincarnated. I think he's a part of her psyche. I believe the Hex is a part of her psyche. And overall, same kind of feeling that you were. All the information that came in this show should have been over an hour episode, not 30 minutes. And then they could have told it better. The way they told us the information, were they literally put us on the ground and put a fire hose in our mouth and turned on the faucet. And they didn't need to do that because they haven't done that in any other episodes.
Wait, what? What about fire hoses?
So you lay down, put the fire hose in your mouth and crank on the faucet and you're drinking from the fire hose.
Sounds like a bad thing.
Well, yeah.
That would blow my head off, wouldn't it?
Well, that's the whole point. The meaning of the saying is you're just given all this information and it's just like drinking from the fire hose. They didn't need to do that because they hadn't done that throughout the entire series. This was the first episode where they really did it, and it's left me a little... Again,
to me, it feels like what they should have done was another episode just in the Hex. with maybe the side plot of Vision leaving the Hex kind of ending the episode like it does. Everything that happened with Monica and
probably should have been
Jimmy
its own
should have
series.
probably in its own episode.
Series episode, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though. This was a 30-minute episode that should have been an hour. They could have done it as one episode where the first half was the Hex stuff for 30 minutes and fleshed out, and then another 30 minutes of them trying to escape the expanding Hex with all the information.
Do you agree, though, that it still played the mystery card well, but just wasn't as good as storytelling as the other episodes?
It didn't leave me asking as many questions as last week's did, but it left me interested enough to want to keep watching.
Yeah,
because to me, at the end of this,
but story-wise, it was one of the weaker episodes.
Yeah, because at the end of this, there's no questions. There's no like, well, what did that mean, or what did that mean?
Of course, there's questions.
Like what?
Like what happened to Darcy?
No.
What's happened to Monica? Why was Vision able to exist outside the Hex but was getting pulled apart and whatnot? Why can he not remember who he is? Who is Agnes? Is she Agnes? There's so many questions. What are you talking about?
The other episodes left you with better questions. These were all...
But that's what I'm saying. It still managed to help you with the mystery elements, but it didn't tell a good story.
No.
It was the weakest storytelling of the series so far, but still continued to at least throw in all of that mystery.
Yeah. So shall we go watch it again?
I think we go watch it again. And if you guys haven't watched it, go watch it. There's no reason you should be on a spoiler-free video unless you're my good friend.
Well, this is a spoiler-free video.
Spoilery video.
If you joined us for a spoiler-free video, we apologise.
Whoops. Anyways, everyone except for Hey I'm Ham, big shout out to him. He's just here to support us, and he's a hell of a guy. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next week.
Well, hang on.
Oh, no!
What?
We're gone. Bye.
What do you mean we gone next week? What was that all about?
I can't freeze frame for much longer, Matthew.